All right, there we go. Fanciness achieved.
Hi-oh.
Huzzah!
Hi-oh. Fancy.
Whoop whoop. There we go. Yeah, trying to. Charmy been giving me a bunch of crap because I keep saying green screen, and technically the screen is purple.
Yeah, I was
Um,
going to say it was probably the same one, which answers a good question.
oh, we're recording.
Hi, Charmy.
Dylan says hi. So it's not live streaming. The new channel is Gandhi Gun Gaming, spelled correctly this time. Uh, Fun fact: I think like 10 years ago when I started the first account, I looked up the spelling because I was like, I don't want to be that guy that misspells Gandhi on his YouTube channel or his Google account. And, like that'll be awful for like job applications and like
Yeah.
everything else. And then last week, Jeremy's like, "Hey, that's spelled wrong," and I'm like, "No, no, I looked it up like 5, 10 years ago," and it's like, "No, it's spelled wrong," and I looked it up again. And I went, "Oh, oh, oh, damn it!"
Oh, no, it's getting farther away.
ah,
Ah.
oh no! Now you're all
Oh,
cut off, which is a setting. There we go.
there we
Oh,
go.
geez.
I will. Oh, my God.
Oh yeah,
Here we go.
everything's opposite and backwards.
Okay. Ah.
Ah. And I'm a little concerned because I'm pretty sure this is all mirrored because I think on the recording Pokemon was backwards. And
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I see it. It looks like it's the right way on my screen.
oh, okay, so maybe it's recording correctly too then. All right.
Ah.
Well, that's a bunch of shenanigan-y talk, and now we can get into the whole point of the thing.
Yeah. Before we begin, though,
Yeah.
I think it's really cool that you made a separate channel for this. Like, just something that you can, I guess, market on more rather
Sure.
than like Gandhi Gun Gaming. Oh, gaming. Oh, D&D. Oh, Wildemount.
Well, yeah, and the tag is GG Gaming, which is like good game.
Yeah.
Which I was like, oh hey, a pun in there too.
Yeah.
Plus I have that I've had that my first like little Microsoft Paint Photoshop thing where it's the picture of Gandhi when he's like spearing a demon, and
Is that what that is?
yeah. So it's a
I've always wondered because you have it on everything,
yeah.
and it looks like some kind of Japanese demon who's holding the knife, like and then Gandhi.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if he's stabbing him or putting it in the butt, and I was like, with Jeff,
the
it could
idea
go either way.
the idea was definitely like his like the and it's a picture of Gandhi like walking, and so the idea is he has his foot up on the demon, pinning it down, and is like spearing it, like he's a character out of the new Castlevania cartoon. Um, so that's the backstory on that. But what I was bringing you and the rest of the crew on, this is something that usually I guess gets done sort of at session 0 or at pregame or whatever. I usually like us to have sort of a session 0 just to reiterate a couple of like house rule stuff, like the like narrative requirements for feats and multi-classing and like any clarifications that have come up recently. But we've been gaming together for a few years, so some of those
Nigh a decade, dude.
yeah.
We've been a few years. Like, dear stream, we've been playing together a long time.
Yeah, you and me, the rest of the crew. Well, Monkey, I've been playing with since we were like 16. So
Yeah.
we're pushing 2 decades on that, which is I just said out loud, and that seems crazy to me.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, we took like a 10-year hiatus while he was in another state, being a doctor. Um,
What a jerk.
what a lame ass. We're just like, especially nowadays, we're just like crapping on the doctor that we know.
Yeah.
So basically, we're gonna go over character, like backstory, the build, and then the little like trinket thing that I did for you guys this time around, which I've been playing with that kind of idea for a little while, and I like how it's been turning out so far. So
Yeah.
we'll start with like backstory stuff. Who is your character?
Okay. My character is Borg the Cleric. He is. I don't know what kind of. I know he's a follower of the Luxon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what kind of church specifically or what like subsect he would be if he was probably no subsect needed if he was an arcane cleric. And
So he's a orc cleric for the Luxon in Wildemount, for the Kryn dynasty, and he's the domains that get associated for the Luxon are either light or arcana, and the Luxon's a little different from other deities in the world, because like you can, if you're a high enough level cleric, you can like ask the Wild Mother, "Hey, what's up? Can you help me out with this problem?" And she'll answer you back, with some deity kind of fluff to it, but basically, yeah, what you got to do is go over there and do that thing, and it's like a straight answer. Where the Luxon is more, the concept is the Luxon was like a god of light that basically helped create everything,
Uh,
and then instead of being a singular entity that can reach out individually to people, split up the rest of their essence to make these beacons all over the place, and through worship and some rituals, you can pair up with that beacon and get multiple life cycles. So um, it's not a like an active god that is located beyond the divine gate like all the other prime deities. It's a more of a almost like a concept and an energy that's contained in these beacons, and it kind of radiates around. So it's a
okay.
little different in that sense, where like we haven't gotten it to it yet because it's not until like a 10th level feature, but clerics get that ability where they just like, hey god help, and their god like shows up and does a thing. um, and how that'll play out visually with a Luxon is going to be an interesting point when we get there.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wondered about that because I was doing some reading and some of the stuff that you had recommended.
Hmm.
And there was the not consecration consecution
Yeah.
that you can get with the. So you die, your spirit goes in the Luxon,
Hmm.
and then you have an opportunity to be reborn with children that are being born in the area.
Right.
Um, so yeah, it doesn't seem more like I am Cord or I
Hmm.
am Paylor. Here is your answer,
Yeah.
follower. Um, yeah, so it's going to be weird, like communing with that and seeing, like,
Hmm.
I guess how it interacts with me.
One thing that has been done sort of on the Critical Role stream is through like connecting with the Luxon beacon, is you get a foresight of possibilities. The Dunamancy magic is all about manipulating what could possibly happen, which is why like time and gravity and those like big like sort of universal forces get lumped in with the Dunamancy. And so I could see things where you like if you do a commune and want to get advice on like what should I do about this thing, should we take the left path or the right path, you might
Oh,
see the two future timelines of you going either direction, and like one way gets you like mauled by a dragon and the other way you get like slapped on the ass by a dryad or something, and you're
that's
like, I'm gonna go with that dryad direction.
yeah, that dryad though.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, dunamis is I think Greek
Dunamis.
for potential, so
Mm-hmm.
that's very interesting that you roped it in with that example.
Right.
Yeah, no, super cool. Okay, that answers a lot of questions.
Right.
But yeah, okay, so not necessarily being part of a subsect of the Church of the Luxon.
Uh,
I
well, because the Kryn dynasty, they have like an official religion, which is the Luxon
the
and
Luxon.
worship of the Luxon. But there's worship isn't banned for most of the other deities except for the betrayer gods. So if
Yeah,
you were an orc
makes sense.
worshiping Grumsh or
Grumsh.
something, Grumsh, yeah, if you're going to worship Grumsh, they'd be like, that's illegal, and you'd either get like some jail time or get executed if you were like leading a cult or something,
Oh damn.
which you guys already saw a little bit of in game because you busted a kobold cult,
For Tiamat.
for Tiamat. Well, supposedly for Tiamat, but supposedly for something else. Like you guys didn't fully research everything going on behind the scenes on that thing.
Yeah.
You did take an arm of the betrayer and then hand it over to the Luxon folks, and so they are making arrangements for your consecution, um, which we'll see what happens with that. That'll be
Yeah.
interesting.
I never heard the name said out loud, but Groomsh sounds
Yeah.
more orc. I
Yeah.
feel like that's right.
Groomsh or Grumsh, yeah. I got to see Brennan Lee Mulligan say it, and then I'll trust whatever he said.
Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, so Arcane Cleric or
Hmm.
Arcana Domain Cleric for
Right.
the Church of the Luxon. And then I guess something that was kind of interesting that we didn't really plan for, but
Hmm.
I just kind of noticed during the stream is kind of like character motivation. Like when
Right.
you said that the arm of the betrayer
Mhm.
The gods could destroy a Luxon beacon. It's like, boom, there's motivation.
Right.
Borg wants to get rid of these things,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
many as he can, destroy him, bury him, throw him in a hole,
Right.
hide him in a hole, throw away the hole, like whatever he can do.
And now he's
Um,
got sort of a new long-term goal, which is basically find as many of these things as he can and get them turned in somewhere safe so that they can't be used to destroy beacons.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know it was kind of a little bit of a temptation for some, namely Adam and Jane. But it's like Arcane,
I did.
taking from the Arcana domain with the Spellbreaker. I think it's like a trait that they get.
Mm,
I was like, boom, there we go. I'm a Spellbreaker. I'm trying to get rid of these things. That's
mm,
what my character does.
right. And yeah, it was a little bit of a hey, here's this powerful artifact that just whispers to you in weird languages most of you don't understand, and and as opposed to what I expected to happen with this particular group, it was immediately turned into the authorities. And I would be lying if I said I wasn't expecting at least half the group to not be like violently insisting, yeah, we should just keep this and like use it for power purposes.
I would say,
Um,
like any other campaign we've done through the past decade, absolutely that would have happened.
yeah,
Like, you have a weapon of the gods?
yeah, yeah. I think if Monkey was playing Adrian's character, I think you might have had a harder time because it's a spear that gives you advantage as long as you're in dim light. And so if Monkey was playing the rogue this game, I think we might have had a harder time with giving it up to the authorities because it would have been like, hey, here's this thing does the same damage and could maybe awaken to be more powerful later, and you would have essentially advantage on all attacks every time, and always hit sneak attack and with no other things.
Oh, even
Uh,
if you didn't use that weapon to do the sneak attack?
uh,
Or, like, rogues use
well,
spears? I guess it's like a versatile weapon or
so it's
finesse.
a I had it statted out as a versatile finesse spear, where the level you were at was whenever you were in dim light or darkness, you would have advantage on the attack, and then awakening it. I mean, you guys already turned it in, so it's not like telling you
Yeah,
this
we're not getting it
spoils
back.
anything. Um, the next level up would make it go to from a +1 to a +2 was it would actually radiate dim light. So you would have it was like a
Oh,
like a 20
shit.
foot where you could if you had the ability to like the skulker feat lets you make a stealth check if you're as long as you're in dim light or darkness, and it radiates dim light, so you just always be able to make a stealth check,
Yeah.
and the side effect would be since you're in dim light it would always have advantage. And then I think there was like a pass without a trace ability for when it got like a fully or exalted on its final form. So, but it does like talk to you, and it does try to get you to do things. Um, and
Probably
they're
not good stuff.
not good things. No, yeah. So, yeah, but yeah, you guys weren't interested in having a dark artifact spear, so you turned it into the authorities, which I guess as a DM tip, you take those hints from your players. You don't say, "No, you will have a dark artifact with you and it will control someone." I'm like, "Well, clearly the party wasn't interested in that arc." So, it got turned in, and
Some
so
of our party were.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So based on the party dynamics, sort of a behind the scenes DM trick is if like your character, because your character is the driving force on turn that into the authorities, so there might be another dark artifact at some point, uh, but the chances of there being a dark artifact increase if like your character died, and a
Mhm.
new character came
Oh,
in,
for sure.
because it would be like, well, here's another. So here's how that played out with that character. So there's no reason to like keep testing it unless that's part of the theme that I'm going for. But very much like sort of like how you guys had the two paths to pick for either going towards the forest area or the lake area for the new settlement. You guys went lake area, so I'm gonna work on like lake themed things going on, and where if you went for the forest, I know it would have been a heavy like forest themed things. So
Yeah.
you go the direction the parties and the players are wanting to do. You lean into what they want to have fun with. You don't like try to railroad people into stuff they don't think is very fun. So
Yeah.
I guess that's my little DM rant.
Yeah.
Um,
No. Good. Good. Good.
back
Good advice.
back on a thing that I wanted us to square out, I guess. So, place. So, backstory place. So, where you're from, or anything you want to know more about.
Um,
Like I think you said you wanted to be from the capital of the dynasty,
is that Roshana?
Roshana.
Rosona?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the idea was that rather than have your average tragic backstory,
Hmm.
like mom and dad are just like orcs, blue
Hmm.
collar workers there in Roshana.
Hmm.
I was able to go to, I guess, seminary there in Roshana
Hmm.
and get some formal training, and then I was sent to Asarius as a new Arcana domain cleric,
Hmm.
looking to essentially earn my stripes, become a spellbreaker, and then ultimately with the goal of becoming consecuted.
Right.
And then, of course, we find the spear, find out the spear can kill a part of my god.
Yeah.
Borg wants to get rid of this.
Yeah. And now that
uh,
he knows it's a thing, he's like, oh shit, I gotta find these things and take them
precisely,
down.
yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool. So the parents, working class, um, would the let's see, what would you want to? The thing that comes to my mind is if they ran like a what am I trying? What's the word I'm thinking of? Like a stable, like they raise mounts,
Okay,
and like
yeah,
train mounts. So they run a stable.
yeah.
Um, so they run a stable in Roshana.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't going to be anything too, I suppose, fancy, for lack
Yeah.
of a better term. Like it's going to be like stable. I think is like that fits it perfectly.
Right. You're trying to work in that particular accent on the guy, so that reads stable boy chores growing up to
For
me.
sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's a so there's your parents and there's probably yeah, good work on that mute button. Um,
Dang.
I do not have the control on that. Oh geez, the pencil I'm using is the same. Uh,
Oh, it's the same purple.
the purple pencil
I can
was
see through the
an odd
veil.
choice. Oh.
Ah!
Um. So the NPCs that you might link up to. I mean, obviously there's your parents exist, and then there's probably someone you know in the church that you have a connection with, someone you might be able to call on for favors, or maybe a rival that you um, that maybe came up with you, and there's sort of a back and forth going on. One of those kind of things.
And it wasn't going to be someone established in the book already because I was reading through them and I couldn't think of anything.
No, it's just a person. So something that you might find it interesting to have around in the backstory.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of pretty interesting monstrous races.
Mm.
Um, let's see. So we were gonna have a rival's interesting. A rival's
Mm.
something I wouldn't have thought about.
Someone who maybe like I don't know does for whatever reason. I like what comes to my mind is like a higher class drow Luxon cleric, maybe a light. They go on the side of the light end of the Luxon, and they've got a little bit of an attitude about somebody who worked in the stable coming in to um, try to get consecuted. Uh,
Ooh, I do like that.
so that could be cool. So we go with
Oh man,
we go with
yeah.
a rival.
Yuan T was jumping out at me, but that fits a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, an orc coming in and then all of a sudden, I know that all the monstrous races are supposedly supposed to work
Right.
together in harmony, but I mean, it's a
Well,
it's a drow, you know.
it's also like a core tenet of the religion that they all work under is reincarnation. So it'd be a real weird thing to be like you orcs, and then like your next life is an orc, and you're just
Bingo.
like
Yeah.
me. Like it'd be real weird to like racism is weird in a culture that has a lot of reincarnation stuff going on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Huh. Yeah,
Um,
I couldn't really think of anything.
but yeah, that could be.
Thinking about bugbear, hobgoblin, goblin, orc.
I think
I
drow.
like the idea of drow.
Yeah, that sort of clash um, is would be okay to lean into on that. Good old classism. We'll run into some of that.
So yeah, building off of that, so I think Borg would definitely be the son of some stable folks.
Mhm.
The Drow could be someone from an established den.
Yeah. So you've worked with Thalos,
Thalos
and Oleo's den folks. So it'd be somebody else because you haven't had a recognition moment of like, oh, they're from that den. So it'd be one of
was
the other dens. But
was the Thalos guy? Was that the evil wizard that we had
uh, um,
the one that we killed? The
I
one that
believe he was Thalos. Yeah. Da-da-da-da.
oh, that is a powerful enemy. Because it seems like
He
that
was
is one of
Thalos.
the names here.
Yeah, his den was Thalos. I need to look up the den of the Bright Queen, because that would be the ultimate like. Well, I'm part of the top den, and so I feel justified in looking down on people wanting to be consecrated who like just came out of the stables.
So I see Bright Queen is Layla's Kryn, and
Kryn.
then that's Captain Kryn. Quana?
So
Quayana
it is
Kryn?
it is the Kryn dynasty, so that makes sense.
Oh.
So we'll have them be from the den, the Kryn den. So they are in the same den as the Bright Queen, so they are real hoity-toity, and feel superior and all that. And we'll lock down a name on them at some point. I'll look up a name for something that I like to do when I can't think of a name is I'll pull up a translator and do like an Elven translator for a concept. So
They have that?
yeah, there's translators into Elven.
Oh my god.
I'm sure it's based on like the Silmarillion or something.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings style. But like if you had whatever the Elven is for like superiority or something, or superior or something like that. So we work in that concept right into the name.
I like that.
I don't always do that. Sometimes I do that opposite wise. Like I'll look up the dwarven name for treachery for a dwarf that's trying to help you guys, and
just goes completely unnoticed.
Completely opposite. And all right, so we got that guy figured out. I got the hoity-toity rival. One thing that I wanted us to work in, just because it kind of naturally and randomly came up in game, was the idea of the bad dads. So everybody has determined we are to be called the bad dads as a group, and working that into each character sounds like a plan. So something I thought of, I don't know if you'll like this idea or not, but the idea of that you are a dad, that you have a young child, but because you had a motivation to serve the church, you've moved on to do that, and he or she is back at the stables being raised by your parents.
Yeah.
So that's a thought I've had, where you can kind of work in that bad dad, and you don't feel bad about it because you're literally serving a god, and you're like, I have a higher purpose than raising this child.
For sure.
And it's not that you're bad to them when you see them, you just are like, they're just not as important as me, like helping serve my god.
Yeah. I like the name. You told me that the Critical Role people, their name was the Shits.
The Shits, yeah, be pre-stream.
At one point in time.
Yeah, huh?
At one point in time, their name was the Shits.
Yeah, I guess
pre-stream.
Just pre-stream, they were called the Shits, and then they needed to. They were starting a stream. B, in the story, they were getting a parade for them from like the Emperor of Tal'Dorei, and they needed to be like, "What is your name, heroic group?" And they couldn't like turn to the Emperor and be like, "We are called the Shits. Now throw us a parade." Parade for the Shits.
Oh, something just came up.
Yeah.
Dogs got court. I gotta go.
So then they did the Vox Machina group name for that.
I mean, so the Bad Dads was kind of like a jokey name for our group.
Right.
We can definitely do the dad thing. I'm not too tied to the idea of like, I don't even know how to roleplay that. Like, because only 2 of us are dads in the stream.
Yeah.
And I'm not one of them.
Yeah.
But as far as like a stream name goes, I thought Guys Gone Wildemount was a fantastic name.
Yeah. What was it? I was pushing. Pushing's a strong word for it. I messaged like 3 people. I was so I was semi pushing the idea of trying to get in contact with the Girls Gone Wildemount was the other thing, but then I was also like, oh yeah, and Guys Gone Wildemount. But the thing I was trying to do was there's a bunch of very cool ladies that do NSFW kind of work, and I was like, oh, it'd be cool to do a stream with a bunch of those ladies and just be like, nothing illicit or anything, just as a, these women are people like everybody else. Let's play a game, have some fun. And the like two that I follow on Twitter, I was like, hey, you want to do a thing? And one was like, nah, and the other was like, maybe, but nah. And I was like, all right, yeah, whatever. I was like, I just thought it'd be a fun idea to like, the concept was like that they're people, and they deserve respect as much as anybody else, and like what they do for work off the side is, it's not, it's 2020. I don't know why we still have hang-ups about like people who want to do like, NSFW kind of work or whatever.
Oh, for sure.
Because I was like, I think when I was a teenager, and I think Monkey might remember this conversation. I think he was there too. So it was a little side story, I guess. But so we had that conversation of what would you do if you got like millions of dollars, and when people were talking about stuff, and it came to me, I was like, I think I want to just like play a D&D game with like a bunch of strippers. And then people were like, oh, and have them get naked, and I was like, no, just hang out, and like, like I think they'd be fun, and they're probably cool people, and they have like an interesting line of work, and I was just like, at like 14, there was this weird but you get the peer pressure when you're a 14-year-old boy, where you're sort of like, yeah, totally, yeah, and I was
for
just
sure.
but I was also the whole time just like, no, like you're probably cool, whatever, like, and I think we've been to, a gentleman's club or whatever. I think once. I think I've gone with Monkey a few times, and I've been the escort guy to a couple of women's like 21st birthdays, as like designated driver, because I don't really drink, and they know they're safe going out with me, and they got, take care of them if they got a little too drunk or whatever.
Yeah.
So just sort of being the like the dad type, it's just going like, all right, we're all having fun, everything's cool, let's all be safe and all that. And I think because last time I went to one of those with Monkey before he moved, I remember I just go and I talk to people is kind of what I do over there. But I remember talking to one lady, she's talking about how the Uber driver guys get real creepy sometimes, and then they know where she lives, and I was like, oh yeah, that's bad.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
It's real effed up. Like they're picking up an attractive lady from a strip club. They know what's going on. Two and two have gotten together. They know what she does.
They're creepy about it.
Yeah, and then they're being weird and creepy about it. And I'm like, that's not cool. This is not okay. And I've got a bit of a self.
Huh? Is that the one you gave the flashlight?
Yeah, so I gave her one of my tactical flashlights, and I was like, yeah, here you go. Here's how to use it. Here's what to do. Basic self-defense stuff, keep yourself safe, take care of yourself and all that. And I don't know, she acted like I was Jesus that walked in, and I was like, I still like paid you to see you walk around naked and stuff. I don't know how much feminist credit I get on this, but yeah, you don't deserve to be threatened or harassed in any way. So
no.
So sort of expanding on that idea was like, oh, let's just have a stream, and like you can promote your stuff or not. It's not meant to be a lewd stream or anything. It's just meant to be like, hey, you're people and come hang out, play games.
Yeah,
I don't know how much of the story I'm gonna cut.
I mean, I don't know where you found these people that you contacted, but I bet you that there are plenty of folks here in Portland who'd be down to play with you.
Right.
That'd
be
these
cool.
are like international folks, or I don't know.
I don't have an in. Like I'm not like friends with a bouncer at any of these places. I know, I don't know, and I'm not like, I don't think, we don't have any like friends or acquaintances, I think that do that kind of work, and but I don't know if you know anybody, give me my number, and we can set up a stream. Not
anymore.
Yeah, I think I landed on the name Not Safe for Wildemount, so it was NSFW, but But yeah,
Dude, you gotta. I mean, Bad Dad's a Wildemount is cool, but
right.
like, Guys Gone Wildemount and Not Safe for Wildemount. If you're talking like promotional material, I
Right.
guess that's got such a better ring to it. I like that.
If I just
Consider it for Gone Again. GG Gaming.
yeah. Um yeah, I kind of wish I'd what was it? There was I think cuz like the lady who I gave the tactical flashlight, she was trying to like I think I was fighting a cold or something and so I was like trying to get out of there also, but um like she wanted to pull me aside after at one point and I was just like, "Ah, no, we're heading out." And but it would have been good to get like some contact info on for some people and not that they should be giving out contact info. I don't know.
That
I don't
would,
know how to work this.
man. Uh, I feel like I wouldn't even have the charisma to even try and pull that off. Like,
Right.
here's a flashlight.
Right.
Come on over here. Let's do a little like lap dance or whatever. And you're like, actually, I just want to play D&D. Like, do I get together, roll some dice?
Right.
Um, that's that's a hilarious story though. I like it.
Yeah, it's good. Everybody be safe. Tangent.
For sure.
Tangent completed. Build questions. So, was there something in particular about cleric that interested you on a build perspective, like mechanically?
We had two fighters.
We had to.
That's what drew me to it. Um, and then I don't think I'd ever done anything like this before. I kind of did. I played Bard for Pathfinder 3.5,
Mhm.
and then I don't know if no, I did College of Valor. So
Yeah.
I haven't really done a healer before, and I thought cleric would be fun.
Sure.
Um,
But there's like
I would heal, unlike Monkey.
yeah. Well, there
Damn it,
because
cleric.
yeah, Monkey played a cleric, but he leaned into the and it's possible to do where you can learn into the DPS kind of route with cleric because you got spiritual weapon that's a bonus action and doesn't take your concentration. And it's pretty easy to keep it on somebody. It can keep trying to whack every turn.
Yeah.
Good damage from a bonus action. And then there's Spirit Guardians. I forget what level spell that is, but that's a really good like radius damage effect. And so there's arguably cleric is one of the better blaster types around as far as getting magic damage output round after round per spell slot. So some people lean into that like Monkey, and then some people want to kind of come up with a side strategy, but their main purpose is they don't want people dropping, keeping people up so they can keep using their actions. So looks you kind of went more for the healing and utility with a little bit of that blaster thing as a side option.
Well, I was looking into bonus action stuff, and I saw that healing word,
Right.
which was a staple with Lornfell, my bard.
Right.
So I picked up that. I picked up spiritual weapon, but yeah, for the most part, it was just going to be a lot of healing and utility stuff.
And the Arcana domain, I think, has a lot is primarily utility kind of stuff. It looked like.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah. So that's pretty straightforward. Is there any multi-classing or feat options you're hoping to pick up? Probably more feats than multi-classing.
Definitely more feats than multi-classing. So College of Light, or not College of Light, Arcana Domain doesn't have proficiency with heavy armor.
Right.
And my dexterity is very low. So I would like to probably pick up. I think it's
there's a feat to pick up heavy armor proficiency.
Yeah, but it's not there's like heavy armor master and then the feat that you said.
Yeah.
Which increases strength. Mine would get bumped up to 15, which I would be able to wear heavy armor.
Hey, that's good.
Yeah. So other than that, I think I'd probably just get that and then max out wisdom.
Right.
With that sweet heal and save.
So for equipment type stuff, also you're probably looking to find a set of full plate. You're looking to maybe for like a Gauntlets of Ogre Power type effect to get your strength up.
With the feat at level 4, whenever I choose to get it, the thing bumps my strength up.
So you'll be at 15, so it won't be necessary.
I'll be at 15, yeah. No gauntlet. If I'm looking for like stuff, I probably won't go for the gauntlets.
Right.
I mean, full plate is cool, but I don't need anything fancy. I just
Right.
kind of wanted some of that like Kryn armor you were talking about, like the
Yeah.
chitinous plates, the jagged points that whistles as air goes through it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds
So
pretty cool.
that's
The
what I was gonna go for. As far as items, other than that, I mean, I don't know what's out there for cleric, so I'm open to anything.
Right. And then one thing I missed on the build for race stuff. The one thing I don't know. I'm hoping you noticed it, but they in like Volo's guide when they do orc, there's like an intelligence penalty, I think, and they ditched that
That's
for
that's what I was planning to do
right.
until you told me that there was a separate orc for Exandria.
Yeah. So that
Yeah.
one doesn't have the intelligence penalty, and the intelligence penalty was weird. I remember seeing it and being like, "Well, this is opposite of the entire edition."
Yeah.
It was like Kobold and Orc still had stat penalties, and I'm like, literally nothing else in the game. Like they figured that out in fourth edition. They're like, we don't want to do stat penalties. And when fifth edition came back, they brought that back over and were like, yeah, the penalties are bad. They feel bad. Yeah.
I don't know if that was like their way of trying to dissuade people to play those races, but I
From
mean, I have no
from what I
idea.
understand, it was that they were overvaluing physical stats, where they were like, oh well, this thing has a strength and a constitution bonus. It's
Oh,
super good, and it's like, well, it's good, but it's not. Like, it doesn't break the game to have like a 17 strength to start with, and then it's like, well, this is they gotta have a 6 intelligence, otherwise this strength doesn't
yeah.
make sense. It's like, no,
It's
it's
too good. Let's nerf it. Also, here's Urchinasi and Goliath
yeah,
with strength and con bonuses.
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was super weird when it came up. I think Kobold was the one that I understood a little bit, just because I think they have pack tactics where if they have an ally in
Advantage.
melee, they just always have advantage, um, and that's real good. And like in our party with two like melee type fighters, um, well, Monkey's sort of a range ish guy. He's always got his echo in melee, which doesn't count as a creature, so that wouldn't help. I don't know. I don't know why I'm going on a rabbit hole on Kobold and nobody's even trying to play Kobold right now. So
Got a goblin. That's close.
yeah, there you go. That's racist. Uh,
That's racist.
it's
They'll look alike.
it's speciesist.
Yeah.
Uh, anyways, gaming racism aside, let's see here. So so that's race builds, feat stuff. So getting that heavy armor's good, and then maxing out your wisdom's good, and then there's oh man, that looks real
I
weird.
could do stuff like there was something that boosts your con and gives you proficiency in con saves, and
Right.
then advantage on con saves.
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about that stuff right now. That's going to be higher level stuff.
Right.
Right now, I want full plate and then
And then
max out
wisdom boosts
wisdom.
until wisdom's capped, probably. Yeah.
Then I'll just get eccentric from there. Like
Yeah.
crossbow feats, sure, why not? Let's do it. Let's get weird.
I think it's a known build to be the full plate fighter that's still using a hand crossbow, because they have max dex, but it's 1 point higher to have full plate than studded leather, so they keep full plate on with while they're just like like John Wick and full plate,
It's hilarious
which
and terrifying.
you find your joy. um, so I guess the last thing is your trinket. We'll go over the trinket that you've started with.
Yeah, so
We'll start
it
with
is.
what you know about it.
It's an orb that has the capability to scry on people, but everyone that's been using it has been petrified,
Mhm.
similar to a basilisk, or like a beholder eye ray. So I know you kind of gave me a little bit of guff, like everyone else has something that they started with. What about you? Like I can't touch it. I'll turn to stone.
Well, the thing you don't know, the thing I'll clue you in on is that wasn't a rib on you as far as, haha, everybody else got something cool. You also got something cool. There is nothing wrong with that orb.
What?
There is no curse on it. Uh, the it has something off about it, so it's not exactly the scrying crystal orb. It has a small restriction to it, but there is nothing cursed about it. There's nothing inherent on the orb that's turning anyone to stone. There is something else going on which you will need to unlock and figure out and find out what's going on. Like they've had two people be turned to stone from looking at it, and they've tried restorative magics to bring them back, and that hasn't worked. So they're being very cautious about. Or no, one person turned to stone, and they tried the restorative magics that usually cure petrification, and those didn't work on it. So they were like, well, it turns people to stone, and they can't get turned back. Let's stop having people look at this thing. And then they handed it to you to try to like quest and find some way to remove what they assumed is a curse on it, but there's no curse on it. It's working. It works exactly the way it was made to work. So
Borg doesn't know that though. He's probably
not.
gonna try and touch it as little as possible.
Right.
So I don't know how much use it's gonna get, but maybe I can study it while holding it, very similar to the spear.
Well, I assume if he finds a way to remove a curse from an item, he would jump on that as like, this is my chance to remove this curse from this object. And then, or if he has access to someone who can like identify it, he might say, hey, be cautious because it supposedly turns people to stone, but if you can tell me something about it, why is it turning people to stone? What effect is on it? Like, someone just using detect magic from a distance can see whatever magic is radiating from the orb without like using it and like turning to stone. You might know and assume, but
the wizard identifying it is going to be like, strange, there's nothing wrong with it. And I'll just be like, idiot, you're a liar. My people told me this turns people to stone. I'm not touching it.
What a loser. He doesn't even know how this works. I don't know why I go super underbite when I get that guy. I'm just like, that's how it goes.
Yeah. So that's what Borg knows about it, that it turns people to stone who've used it. It has the capability to scry. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens from there.
So yeah, just want to make sure you know that it's not like, hey, you've got daggers that go magic, and it's like, you got a cloak that protects you from stuff. You've got an orb you can't look at.
I wasn't holding it against you if that's what it was. I was like, okay, there's everyone's on their own path. This is fine.
Yeah. No, yours is also very useful, and it is a scrying orb with a restriction, and that restriction has resulted in consequences for some people looking at it. So, yeah, I think that's as much as I can reveal about it without just telling you what's happening.
Yeah, no, that's good.
And you do not automatically turn to stone if you do look at it. So it's a.
I assume it's like a con save or whatever.
There could be a saving throw involved, depending on what happens. So that greatly depends. And why am I getting out of focus? There we go. But yeah, there we go. We got NPC stuff. We got your parents, which we'll want to look up some orc names for at some point, especially if we ever head in that direction, or if you want to, or if you think your parents might come up in conversation at some point, then you'll want to know their names. Do you want to?
Actually, I'll write this down. I'm just gonna go off the cuff. So we've got Crag, Krag.
Crag.
Rethlock, Rethlok.
Rethlock.
And Borna Rethlock.
And Borna. Was Rethlock CK or K?
K.
Just K.
Hella K's with the work.
Yeah.
Hella K's.
Crag and Borna Rethlock. Cool. They run
But Borg doesn't really use his last name very much.
Gotcha.
He's just Borg.
Well, part of it is, I guess,
Borg.
he's more loyal to his church than his family. Not that he's disloyal to his family. It's just his priorities are serving his god, not making sure the stable is clean and profitable.
Bingo.
Yeah. Cool. So there's I would assume one of the parents is probably just straight up proud and accepting, and one might have a little chip on their shoulder about how you've gone off to do this thing, and how you are like think you're too good to work the stable. Like, not too heavy-handed, but there's a little tension there probably.
You know, I was thinking the opposite. I was thinking that they were both just very happy.
They could be also Luxian worshippers and are super proud to have that their kid is in the church and doing well.
Exactly. I kind of pictured almost like a grandparent,
Mm.
who's like super chill, just like you pop in like, "Hi, I haven't seen you for a couple years," and they're like, "Oh, hi, we're watching Home and Gardening too." You know, it's like,
Yeah.
and no reason for fanfare. They're just like, "Oh, what's up? Thanks
Mm.
for yeah, stuff's going good."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that sounds good. Did you want to do that the bad dad angle where you've got like a 5-year old a 5-year old son at your parents' place, and they're just being grandparents raising the kid, and they're happy to do it because you've got important work to do in the church.
Um,
Or we could skip it.
I mean, I vote skip it. I
Skip it.
don't even know how I would role play that.
Right.
Yeah, but
Sounds good.
I like where your head's at. I like all these ideas that you've been coming up with.
Sure. Yeah. Well, now
Yeah,
that
but like,
I'm not using it with you, so now I'll just use it on somebody else.
yeah.
That's
Adam, I'm sure Adam will
yeah.
like pick it right up. If it were me, I'd just be like, "Hey, Tyke,
Yeah. Yeah, the
you
dude with what
been
like
playing Pokemon Go recently?" Like,
the other actual dad leaning in on the I abandoned my child aspect could be
yeah,
kind of funny. Um, here's something roleplay thing I want you to deal with: abandoning your children.
yeah. I bet Doug would have fun with that though.
Maybe.
I could see him liking that idea.
I don't know. I don't know if he'd just be.
Doug kind of plays Doug with every
Yeah,
character.
Doug is
that,
just
yeah.
Doug is Doug plus or minus like 5%.
It's kind of like James too. Like
Yeah.
James is kind of James in every character.
James is
They're both like the
James.
Will Smith of role players.
Yeah, James is just James if like Monkey's gonna be Monkey with what if Monkey had the cheat codes to the real world.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be Monkey in every role playing game. Uh, it's like you can unlike your whole world. It's like, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna be Erders. I'm gonna teleport around and murders.
Yeah. Murders got a murders.
Erders got a murders. That's what we need. We need some taglines, some catchphrases.
Just like awful one-liner puns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, mate, I think we got everything figured out there. Oh yeah, I forgot to write down build stuff. So, build, you're just worried about getting yourself some heavy armor.
Oh yeah, as far as goals in the game, heavy armor, destroy arms of the betrayers, max con. As far as build stuff goes, I wasn't really looking to jump into any kind of meta. So
right.
once I get the stuff that I want, once I get the stuff that I need,
Well, like,
have fun with it.
and like we've discussed before, like my main house rule is just narrative requirement for all that, any optional rule. So feats and multi-classing would fall under that. And then
Yeah, for sure.
but I don't like a confrontational game where it's player versus DM. So if somebody's like, I want to have the like I think Monkey wants to get the Sentinel feat, and I'm like, yeah, tell me that so I can facilitate a reason why your character would eventually get the Sentinel feat. Bud is most likely going to want Polearm Master, and is be one of those.
Jeez, him and Sentinel, that is going to be terrifying.
Yeah, Sentinel's really good if one person has it. It loses a little value the more people have it in the party, because it doesn't like trigger off each other. And the Echo Knight with Sentinel, it works. It works pretty well, but only one of the features actually works. Like you don't get the bonus attacks opportunity if they attack someone else or any of that. You just get the speed reduction. But that's with the Echo, that's still really good.
Yeah,
you can really lock down an enemy. I put a video up actually of, granted it was like 2 a.m. and I had one of those thoughts at like 1:30, and I was like, damn it, I'm gonna have to make this a video before I can go to sleep. And you can really tell that I haven't slept. But it was the idea of the people saying the Echo Knight was broken, and I was like, I mean, it's good, but it's
in a good way or a bad way?
Broken in a good way, like it's too good. Like there would be no reason to take any other kind of fighter, and it like overshadows every other class or something and stuff like that. And so I was like, well, what if you had an Echo Knight with Sentinel, and then a Battle Master fighter with mobility. And I think the Echo Knight fighter didn't get hit fighting like what was supposed to be a deadly encounter for like a 1-on-1, and the Battle Master got hit once. And so I was like, okay, well, the Battle Master got hit once, and I don't think I played it perfectly. And the Echo Knight, I think, would have gotten hit once if I had made a different decision. So it would have been equal. Like, they would have both taken one hit before they could kill the monster.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so they're pretty much the same. And then I also tried out like a rogue with mobility, and I was like, oh yeah, this is broken. Like a rogue with mobility is ridiculous. You just
Yeah.
like you make your attack and you move and you bonus action dash, and your speed is so high because of mobility.
You can just get out of range.
Yeah, you just get out of range. They have to use their action and their dash to catch up to you, and then you just stab them again, get free disengage from mobility, and then just run away again. And you can just like ping pong them until they're dead.
Yeah, those like rule exploits like that. It can be done.
Yeah.
Rules is written says it can be done, but
Right.
I don't know. That doesn't interest me. It's kind of like Gargoth. When I picked him, I was like, I want to play Conan the Barbarian.
Right.
And then I saw people online were like, that's dumb. Pick Goliath and be a Goliath charger or be a half orc, blah, blah, blah. And
Right.
it's like, no, man.
Yeah.
That's not Conan.
I'm
I want to be
playing
Conan. Yeah.
I'm Conan the Barbarian. He's a human. He's a big buff human.
Yeah, it was so weird.
And he's
seeing the
also
charger beats
and
though.
that's probably why you went rogue and stuff too. Is he's kind of a thief, and he's kind of like, he's got all these other aspects to him. So that build makes more sense now that I think of him as just straight up Conan the Barbarian. But yeah, it was a lot of like, I think it was people's concerns were based on like White Room Theorycraft kind of stuff. Like, this could be really broken if X, Y, and Z happens. So be like, yeah, but X, Y, and Z aren't necessarily what happens. It could be anything. So, like, I don't know. I try to give advice about that kind of stuff too, where it's like, okay, yeah, the Echo can really lock down a singular big bad enemy, so don't throw just a singular big bad enemy. Do every once in a while so they can feel cool, but be like, why doesn't that big bad have like 12 goblins that he's been like, you work for me now, and they're all like, yeah, okay, that sounds fine. And like they're all gonna have a turn, and 3 of them are gonna aim at the Echo, and the other like 6 are gonna aim at you, and it's like, well, they're gonna like just disintegrate the Echo on their turn, and then the big guy's gonna be able to rush you. So like, yeah, I guess if you, I don't know, maybe it comes from running a lot of modules where you don't feel like you can change stuff, but I don't know.
When you say modules, do you mean like pre-written stuff?
Yeah, like if you're running a module and you're like, well, it says here that it's it's 3 enemies, and when the Echo Knight goes in there, they wipe them all out, and it's like, all right, well then make a 4th enemy who's shooting the Echo, if you're really that worried about it. Don't do that all the time. It's never fun for players to be like, haha, nice build you got there. It's nerfed forever.
Yeah.
I think you noticed the last time I played in a game, you probably noticed me get really frustrated very quickly when like my entire build got negated on like the first session, and then
they didn't allow flanking.
Yeah, well, no, it was we went into like a wild magic area that like negated, like there was like, you would never want to use magic because there was such high consequences for every time you cast a spell, and my build was very focused on like using magic abilities to enhance hits and things, and then also, well, I guess I also did build it with the concept of like, we've been playing with flanking, so I assumed we'd have flanking going into it, and so it's one of those session 0 things where we didn't really establish expectations and like what things were going to be going on, and so yeah, it was also, I think I got very frustrated, and it's no fault of the DM. The DM was doing fine. He was running his module and doing his stuff, but I just had a mismatch of my expectations where I thought my cool magic build would get to be cool, and it turned out it was like, oh no, you're gonna be like 8 sessions away from being able to do any of your class features, and I'm like, oh, I wish I'd just played a fighter then, and because this feels bad and I don't get to do cool things for a very long time. So yeah, so DM lesson: let your players be cool. Like,
yep.
And
have a session 0. Talk with your DM.
Yeah, have a session 0. Discuss what you want to happen with your build, as we were doing. Tie-ins.
Woo!
Yeah, discuss if you wanna polearm master and sentinel, that's cool, but don't show up to game not having told your DM you've done that. And I think the best example I think was, because that's always been my thing. You guys tell me what you want to, what cool combos you're trying to do, and that way I can let you know, A, if they actually work, and B, like what situations they'll be cool in. Like I think like we had the game where wizard character
behind the veil.
Behind the veil. and they were thinking like, oh well, he's a fighter. When he makes an attack action, he gets multiple attacks. Haste will then give him multiple attacks when he gets his extra attack action. And then I had to be like mid game, be like, well, that doesn't work. It specifies in the spell, the extra attack is a single attack, if they take the attack action. And they were understandably irritated by that. They thought their cool thing was going to work and it didn't. And but being irritated mid session, it doesn't feel good. So chat with your DM beforehand.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, I'm planning to do this thing, and then just text them and be like, I want this thing to work. And I'm like, oh, it doesn't. Sorry. And I can recommend other things that are also fun at that level and all that. And so
Yeah, for sure.
we're not fighting each other. We're fighting the dragons and the dungeons.
Exactly.
The dungeons and the dragons. Sometimes
Both.
both. Yeah.
At the same time.
At the same time. Sometimes a dungeon forms around a dragon, which is not how I meant to say that when I started talking, but I just kept going. All right. Well, we have covered everything I wanted to cover, and then some more stuff. So, yeah, good times, man.
Yeah. See you next Sunday.
This is gonna be good. I might just upload it as is. I don't think we need to edit much. Nobody blurted out a social security number or anything.
I don't think so. 555 555
555.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, see you Sunday.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.